Right. Nolan, furthermore, Kamat there, while he speaks of how this is an essential practice, they're trying to understand if at all wearing the hijab is an essential practice in Islam. Even though many following Muslims do not wear the hijab, you have several others following who are slightly conservative who think that the hijab is second skin. Kamat there makes an observation in court. He says, he submits the Madras High Court made this observation that headscarf is obligatory after referring to many sources and international judgments. If you can elaborate on what the Madras High Court had said and Kamat referring to that case.
Well, Nabila, Kamat submits that allowing the hijab for Muslim students is a national level practice. This is what he says, national level practice. Allowance for Sikh students headgear is also there. This is in alliance with Article 25, he added. Now, he also refers to the Madras High Court judgment in the M. Ajmal Khan versus Election Commission case. He says, it is thus seen from the reported material that there is almost unanimity amongst Muslim scholars that wearing the hijab or the purdah is not essential, but covering of head by scarf is obligatory. This is what the High Court observed in that case. And he also added and submitted that the Madras High Court made the observation that headscarf is obligatory after referring to many sources and international judgments. And that is when he came to the Malaysian judgment.
Right. Nolan, stay with us. Even as there are hectic arguments here, of course, the petitioner's lawyer, Kamat there, putting out the argument saying the petitioners feel that their right to choice, their right to practice religion, freedom to practice religion has been violated. Article 25 has been violated, even with the interim order that the High Court has passed. So a lot of angles that the court is now looking into to try and establish the crux of this matter, if at all, wearing the hijab is an essential practice in Islam or not. Now, speaking to several experts, Nolan, Nagarjun also tracking these developments, Mustafa joining me right here from Udupi. We did speak to several experts and there seems to be a divided opinion on this matter. Some of the Muslim ladies who've been very keenly reading the Quran say that there is no specifics written about wearing the hijab in the Quran. It only says, ask for a woman to dress modestly, but does not elaborate whether it is a hijab or it must be a head covering, etc. There are a lot of opinions, counter opinions coming from the Muslim community itself, and that's what's going to be making it slightly tough for the court now to understand how essential is the hijab when it comes to women in Islam altogether. Now, Nagarjun has been, of course, tracking those developments in Karnataka with politicians, of course, now keenly observing if this is politically motivated. You have the Home Minister Nagarjun there, Araga Gyanendra, who says that this is very motivated, a vested interest trying to push these girls to create some kind of communal commotion right here along the coastal belt of Karnataka, and that the Karnataka government has already decided to probe this matter, investigate on who's behind this.
I was moving.
Nagarjun, if you can hear me.
Nabila, could you please repeat the question?
Right. Nagarjun, we heard you speaking to Karnataka Home Minister Gyanendra. He said that there seems to be some kind of push or vested interests who are supporting these girls to agitate and create communal tensions. He specifically said that the Karnataka government has already initiated an inquiry into who's behind this. What more has the Karnataka government said on their stance as they remain adamant on uniformity inside government schools?
Well, the Home Minister specifically said that they have inputs that they can't share to the media, but they have credible inputs that two of the petitioners' family have been in political outfits like PFI as well as the SDPI and other political organizations who are backing them, is what the Home Minister said. They're waiting for credible evidences, but the preliminary information as for the police is that Muskan as well as Alia, both of their family members, Muskan's father and Alia Asadi's cousin, are PFI members. Muskan's father, in fact, is a PFI district level leader, is what we have picked up, confirmed by the Home Minister. To Home Minister too said that yes, there have been organization behind them. The family members are related. We are waiting for credible evidences so that we also can produce this before the court, that these students not just are acting behalf of their, but there's a larger larger organization have putting behind them. So it's a conspiracy is what the Home Minister says. We are waiting for credible evidence is what exactly he said. So the 16-year-old, 15-year-olds cannot be this adamant about one headscarf. They have been completely backed by political organizations is what the government is talking right now. They're waiting for photographs or some credible evidence or some video links to put forth before the court as well, before they make a point that it is PFI or SDPI and other organizations behind the students and the petitioners.
Yes, also Nolan continues to be with us. Nolan, take us to the arguments that Advocate Kamat essentially is making about the kind of errors. He says that the government essentially, by talking about headscarf and essentially indicating that this is not intrinsic to Islam, has made an error. Take us to that argument that is being made by Advocate Kamat as we speak.
Well, in fact, he's actually explaining that through private organizations or private institutions. He says that the judgment, the initial judgment, was in the context of a private unaided minority institution. He's talking about what happened in Kerala. He said there was an issue of balancing minority rights. The government order applies to government institutions. Then he also, now in fact the court then referring to the judgment says that this is a private institution, not a minority institution. That is where Kamat says the judgment mentions it a minority institution. Then he adds that private minority institutions cannot be foisted with students which they don't want to admit. They have Article 30 rights. So he's trying to actually show the difference over there between a private institution, a private minority institution, and a government institution, and that the government order using the Kerala High Court judgment just cannot fall when you're talking about government institutions. Now we're also getting updates over here wherein Justice Dixit has actually entered the fray. He tells Advocate Kamat that you referred to a High Court judgment which referred to an apex court of an Islamic country, that was Malaysia, that wearing hijab is essential. He now questions Kamat. He says, you have any other judgment of any other Islamic country or secular country taking a divergent view? Now, Kamat says that to the best of his knowledge, he is not aware. He also adds that his research says there is no other contrary judgment, but he's not the final repository of knowledge. Now, Kamat is trying to distinguish the Bombay High Court judgment also. This is what is very important, mentioned in the government order. So the government order mentioned the Kerala High Court judgment and the Bombay High Court judgment. He says the girl over there in Bombay was studying in an all-girls school, and hence the court held that the hijab was not necessary. He also added that both the judgments that the government order cites do not apply in our case. This is in Karnataka. One is in a minority institution, the other is in an all-girls school. And the third judgment that he brings out now is of the Madras High Court, which has nothing to do with Article 25. He adds that the Madras High Court judgment mentioned in the government order was with respect to government's power to prescribe uniform for contractual teachers. And there was no discussion of Article 25 in that case. So, all in all, he says the Kerala High Court order, the Bombay High Court order, and the Madras High Court order, he says that all these three judgments that was referred to in the government order, he finally says that the government, Karnataka government, has committed a fatal error.
Yes, Nolan, also an important point, really questioning the basis, the very basis of the order, saying that at the end of the day, Advocate Kamat essentially says a state is an outside authority. It can't give a declaration essentially to this effect, talking about hijab or issuing orders of the nature it has.
Very true. In fact, he's actually saying that the state has overstepped.